All right, we're going to get in here. We're going to get a little comfy and we are going to start this off. So let's jump in and get going. All right, what's happening, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of the DADHOOD podcast. I'm your host, Thomas McMinn. Today I'm talking about something that kind of bums me out, and that's back to school. Let's go.
Hey, DADHOOD, I be reppin' DADHOOD. Welcome to the podcast. Show 'em how the dads do it. Yeah, DADHOOD, I be reppin' DADHOOD. Let's go.
All right, so I can hear it right now. There's so many parents out there that are like, what do you mean bummed out? Back to school is such a great thing, and where it can be, and I get it, when you're trying to work and you got other obligations, back to school does make it easier because during the summer break, you also as a parent not only have those obligations, but you also are trying to figure out how am I going to entertain or occupy my kids throughout the summer. And I know a lot of parents out there, they don't have access to maybe an after school program or a summer camp or something like that. So their kids are at home and they're just trying to navigate it all. But in my situation, we did have an after school camp or a camp that they got to go to. And we also had some awesome vacation time. And the thing is, I reflect a lot on the value of time. Meaning, I realize there's only so many summers I'm going to have that my kids will, one, be in my house, but two, even want to hang out with me, right? At a certain age, they're going to be out hanging out with friends. They might have a job in the summer. There's going to be a lot of different things that compete for the time, and time is the commodity. That's what I believe. I always say that. You know, there's so much emphasis and focus in society on money being the biggest commodity or the most important. I believe it's time. And you cannot actually buy any more time back, right? So the time we have is limited. And even the time that we get with people is limited. And hopefully it's long, but in some situations it's not. So again, understanding this from my perspective helped me realize the importance of summer. Now, yesterday was the first day of school, and my boys, even though they're rock stars and they went and they had a great first day, Dad was kind of bummed. And so let me paint this picture for you. We drop them off in the front of their school. They go around back. Katie and I, we go and we park the car. For those who don't know, Katie is my wife. And so Katie and I, we park the car, we chat for a little bit in the car, and then you get out and walk over to the entrance of the school where they do a little red carpet intro and people are clapping and all the parents are taking photos. And that's kind of how the classes walk in, and it's the first day of school and it's fun. First year that my oldest did this was a train wreck, right? Because it was just trying to get him into the school was hard, and that was a whole situation in itself. And then they're making this big display, which isn't for everybody, and I get that. I don't know why I threw that in there. It just kicked in my mind, and I was like, holy crap, dude. For some of the parents, yesterday was a really rough day, and acknowledging that, right? But back to dropping him off, Katie and I chatting, we get out, we walk over. And if you know parents, you know parents. Everybody's kid is the most important kid at that school. And I get that. My kids are the most important kids. Do I care about other people's kids? Holistically, yes. In that moment, not really. I'm just there for mine, right? Just like everybody else. And so my boys, they walk in, and I'm watching some of these parents, and they're getting low, and they're kind of fighting their way up to get in the front. And it's like, you know, some of them, it's more about, do the parents get seen than the kids? We all know, you know who I'm talking about, right? You see them there, you're like, dang, you got dolled up. You're like here, where you're trying to get all like nice kicks on and everything. You're trying to impress the parents more so than be there to support your kids. And then you got the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like, my friend, I know you just rolled out of bed, but just a little bit of effort goes a long way. That's what I try to tell my kids. get ready for you, don't get ready for others. But when you get ready for yourself, you show up a little different, right? And the way we show up in the world, I really do believe matters, contrary to what some people say. And I'm not talking that you have to have anything fancy or all dolled up or any of that, but a little bit of effort allows the rest of the people, because you're setting the tone for how others are going to treat you. And so if you set up or you show up a certain way and you feel confident, you're kind of putting out that energy to the world, and you're allowing others to know you're here to play. You're not here to just take up space, right? Anyway, I'm getting off subject. Back to the school situation. So I dropped the kids off. I'm sitting there watching. I'm taking photos. I'm stoked. My one son, so I got my two boys. My younger son is like, he's like, Dad, we're all into the theatrics. Like, he's doing these, like, and if you probably can't see because you're listening, but if you're watching the full video, he's doing what's that called? The steel, from Zoolander, he's Blue Steel or whatever. He's doing these, and he's posing, and he's a character, right? My other one, he's too cool for school. Walks by, I'm like, "What up, Lee, man? Yeah, buddy, great first day." And he gives me like the deuce and walks by. I'm like, "All right, I see you." But yeah, so my boys, they're incredible. The moment this ends, I watch my youngest son walk in, and just like this, my friends, just like this, it just eats at me. So I throw on my sunglasses because, as men, we're not allowed to show emotions. And I try to get to the car as fast as I can, because I don't want to show that to people that inside I'm sad. I'm sad. And I'm sad because I don't like goodbyes. Growing up, I was in situations. Growing up, I would have to say goodbye to my mom, and I'd have to say goodbye to my dad, and from a really young age, because they weren't together, and I'd have to travel back and forth, and sometimes I would also travel to my grandparents, and I'd have to say goodbye to them. So I just don't do good with goodbyes. For some reason, every time the school year starts, it feels like one more goodbye. And so where some parents are just celebrating this up, and they're having a great time, inside, it's eating me up, right? And it's not long, and I know it's not long. And since I'm starting to do a lot of the internal work, I'm starting to process it, based off of this model that I'm going to be releasing, and I've talked about a little bit before, but based off of the repair model, I'm able to identify my emotions now, understand where those triggers are coming from, starting to unpack them so that I can move on and show up different for my boys, because I don't want them to be sad with goodbyes, because part of life is we have to say goodbye. We have to move on. And so, yeah, where yesterday was exciting for some, it really wasn't exciting for me. I don't necessarily like when school starts. And maybe that even goes back to I didn't really enjoy school that much. Never was very scholastic. I cared more about this. I cared more about talking with people, having conversations, growing with people like that. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we were at, So for those parents that were stoked, congratulations. For those that were going through a similar situation like me, I see you. And yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be sad, you know, especially as men, it's okay. And part of me wants to, while I'm sitting here recording this, and I started feeling those feelings and started feeling sad, I was thinking in my mind, you got to edit this out. You can't share this because we're men. You're speaking to fathers who were men, who have been told you don't show emotions, even though we were born to feel things, to experience them. Even though we go through all the emotions, just because we can't identify them because we haven't been taught the skill sets does not mean we don't feel them. So I'm not going to edit that out. I am going to share that with you all. And I want you to know that if you feel the same way I do, you're safe. You're in my circle. You're in this community. And I see you and I hear you. And welcome to the Dadhood. Nothing but love, my friends. Keep showing up.
Hey, Dadhood, thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. And like my dad always says, keep being the best version of yourself you can possibly be.
Hey, Dadhood, I be reppin' Dadhood. Let's go.